From the campus of the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School, this is Marketing Matters on Business Radio.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Marketing Matters here on Business Radio, Sirius XM 132. I'm Barbara Kahn, the Patty and J.H. Baker Professor of Marketing, and I'm joined by my co-host, Americus Reed, the Whitney M. Young Jr. Professor of Marketing and the Brand Identity Theorist. And today, we have a very, very special guest joining us for the hour. Americus, why don't you introduce our
I'm happy to do that, Barbara.
host.
First of all, it's a great day today in Philadelphia. It's 38 degrees 2 days ago. Now it's 70.
Whoa.
So it's warming up. And I got to say, when it warms up, I always think about the frivolity of youth. I feel so young again. And I always think about how marketers are always trying to tap into younger consumers and what they're into. So we're extremely excited today, ladies and gentlemen, to have on the program my daughter, Zora Fabiana Reed, joining us to talk all things Gen Z and to think and discuss the cool stuff that her generation is into. Welcome, Zora, to the program.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Excellent. Very, very cool.
We are so psyched. So the whole show today is going to be about Gen Z. We're going to have an expert on the Spotlight segment, Connor Blakely, who's the founder of the first ever full-service Gen Z innovation and marketing agency called Youth Logic. But before we do that, we're going to talk to a genuine representative.
Listen, let me just say
of
this.
Gen Z.
Let me just say this. At the Wharton School, we're always about data, right?
Exactly.
Data. So we're always trying to gather information and go directly to the source to figure out what exactly is going on, a little one-on-one / focus group sort of approach here. So we're going to talk today about all things that have to do with the kids. What are they into, Barbara? And why are they into these? I have no idea about this
Yeah,
stuff.
this is gonna
so
be
I need
cool.
I'm going to learn something today.
So let's start with, we asked Zora to do a little bit of homework.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And we asked her to tell us some of her favorite brands.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of those brands. Let me just say before we start, there's some I never heard of. So,
Yes, listeners, Zora actually sent ahead of time a list of some of her favorite brands, and Barbara and I were like, we have no idea what some of
I mean,
these things
some
are.
of them we know, like
Yeah.
Nike,
Yeah, sure,
Apple,
sure.
Ulta, Sephora, Lulu. We know those.
We know those.
But I never heard of Summer Fridays, Drunk Elephant, Glow Recipe.
Oh, dear.
You want to tell us about those?
Yeah, tell us about some of the
Okay,
brands.
so Summer Fridays is like a skincare brand that they sell at Sephora.
Okay.
And they have like lip products,
Okay.
different skincare products. They have a wide range of stuff.
So let me ask you, that which one you said that was? Summer
Summer
Fridays.
Fridays.
Summer
So
Fridays.
and you said it's at Sephora. So
Sephora.
I know
And that-
Sephora does do a lot with these new
yes.
exclusive
Yes.
brands and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm a person who bought all the old legacy brands. So tell me what's different
Right.
about these new brands than the old brands that used to be there.
Well, I think that Summer Fridays is a new brand because it came up on TikTok. It was like this new thing. Wow, it's so innovative.
Yeah.
You know? And they just have some really great formulas and everyone loves it because, it's popular. If it's popular, you want it.
So that's the social currency
social
it has.
currency.
So
Exactly.
what does it mean it came up on TikTok? What were the so I assume those are small videos,
Yes.
short videos.
Like, they're like little short videos.
So, were they from the company? Were they from their customers?
Definitely from the customers and the company, like both. There's ads and sponsors, and they're like, this product is great, this is awesome, you should buy it. And it just started blowing up, and then once one person has it, the second person has it, and then the third person has it, and then everyone has it. So now you want it.
Interesting. But let me ask you this though, Zora, because so when you get it, are you getting it because it's so super popular now that it must be good, or how do you understand that it's actually good, or is it just are you following the herd, or what's going on here? Are these really good products, or just
Yes.
people just okay?
Okay, yes, they're really great products,
Yeah.
but people are just following the herd,
Okay.
They're you see a celebrity wearing this product, wearing these lip products, wearing this skincare, and they have awesome skin and beautiful lips, and you say, oh, I want my skin and lips to look like that.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so how long you think this is going to last?
Right.
Is this a brand
Yeah.
of the moment, or you think
Right.
this is a brand for the generation?
I think this is a brand for the moment.
Oh, you
okay,
do?
interesting.
Definitely.
Interesting. Is that the case with a lot of the beauty brands? They come and
Yeah.
go quickly?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
some stay for a while, and it's like,
Can you predict what's going to stay and what's not?
it's hard to tell sometimes because some people when it's kind of hard to tell because it's blowing up and you want that product.
Yeah.
But sometimes it it dies down.
Interesting. Yeah,
So, for the identity theorist, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because she's talking about, and she admits freely,
Right.
it might not last, right? So
No.
she's in it for the hype.
Right.
Whereas you talk about tribes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think
No,
about
that's
that?
a great question. I love that counterpoint, Barbara, because there's a difference between following kind of what people see as sort of the culturally hot thing in the moment versus the brands that you really love kind of internally, irrespective of how anyone will see you or some projection of how they see you with that brand. So so I guess you may, and what I love about this is the fact that you actually recognize this. Most consumers will not even admit.
But that's what she likes about
That's
it.
what she likes about it, though.
So it's not the identity, not the
Yeah.
tribe, which is what you preach.
Right.
It's
Yes.
the hype. It's the moment.
Although the
Exactly.
tribe could be the moment.
Ah.
So what I
you-
did there,
you're-
I know.
Nobody's going to.
I hand waved it away.
America's out of business.
No chance. I got bills to pay, Barbara. You know this. But that's super interesting. I mean, yeah.
And so what about these other ones I haven't heard of? Drunk Elephant and Glow Recipe. Are they
Drunk
similar?
Elephant.
Drunk Elephant.
Not
What's a
really.
Drunk Elephant? Yeah.
Drunk Elephant is a skincare product,
Okay.
a skincare brand.
Okay.
And it's basically marketed to like 10-year-olds.
10-year-olds.
Yes, there's videos all over TikTok when these 10-year-olds like go into Sephora and they run straight to the Drunk Elephant, and they're buying all these retinol products and things
Oh
that
my
they.
God, they're buying
Yes.
retinol.
Retinol
Yes.
at 10.
Yes.
Wow. And
Yes.
what in the world do you need to have great skin at 10 years old for?
I don't know. It's just recently, like, instead of wanting to become a lawyer, or a doctor, we want to become Ice Spice.
Okay. Yeah. You want to be an influencer.
Exactly.
And part of that is going to be part of this whole dynamic of
Exactly.
trying
So
Yeah.
to
that,
products and
I
stuff.
mean, I don't know if you know the vocabulary, but it does sound like you do. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you are a marketing professor's daughter. So,
Yeah.
I shouldn't
Yes.
really be surprised. But you're describing two different brand strategies, right? So, Drunk Elephant is a social of the moment. Maybe that's their tribe or
Yeah.
whatever, like a brand identity. Whereas Glow Recipe, you're telling me, is a product attribute.
Yeah.
It's a more typical brand. It's being, in a sense, because
Yes.
it's basing it on a product benefit and appealing to some goal that these consumers have. So
Yes.
in some sense, in my way of looking at it, is it's more of a traditional brand because it's on
Interesting.
this
Yeah, yeah.
product benefit. and
Yeah.
It's positioned
Interesting.
to make you, understand. What makes it Gen Z is it, like you're saying, it recognizes the goals, like the idea that young women are, I don't know if we call 10-year-old a woman.
Not at all.
We have to think about that.
Wow.
Young women, girls.
Construct definitions here. Yeah, segments. Yeah.
But they're starting to care about things that you didn't used to care about till you were 50.
Yes.
And I know there's this Botox trend
Yes.
and all these
Yeah, all
other
this other
things
stuff.
really early on.
Yes,
But a
interesting.
brand that's playing into that versus a brand that's playing into the hype of the moment. So that's
Interesting.
how those
Yeah.
two are different.
Yeah.
But they're both in skincare. So
That's
it's not a
interesting.
category
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I feel like Glow Recipe, it's a good brand. People like it probably just because it's popular. You know,
Okay.
people love their toner, their dewdrops, their
Dewdrops.
Hue Drops,
Hue drops.
and they're just so
How do
many.
you know all this stuff?
Because I just know, Daddy,
Unbelievable. That's incredible. That's amazing. So
From
you
TikTok?
from TikTok.
see, there you go.
Yeah.
Which is about to be banned,
I
maybe.
know. They're going to say, right? You heard it's in
Yeah.
Congress.
It's
now.
in
gone
Congress?
through, yeah.
Yeah.
And what they want an American company
Yes.
to buy it. So
Yes.
they're not stupid.
Yeah. Right.
They don't want TikTok and all that
Yeah.
market potential to go
Good
away.
point,
They just
good
don't
point.
want the data in the hands of the Chinese.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So let's switch. So these are young brands, and I recognize
Yeah.
that
They're
because
pretty
I
new.
never heard of them.
Pretty new.
And I like most of them you've heard of through TikTok,
Yes.
right? But they position themselves slightly different. Some for the moment, some for the hype, some for the product attribute.
Exactly.
But always looking at what is important to the consumer, which is very consumer friendly. But you also have on this sheet brands like Apple, for example,
Oh my
or
God.
Nike.
Barbara, don't get her started on that.
But what's interesting, let me just position this so I can figure out how you're thinking about it differently. These brands go across generation.
Yes.
Yes.
And they've been around for a really long time. And Apple's probably the most valuable brand in the world right now.
That's
so
right.
you're
Yes.
just recognizing a really strong brand. But what makes it Gen Z?
Yeah.
What makes Apple Gen Z? That's a great question, actually, because, Gen Zs love this word. It's called aesthetic.
Okay.
Gen Zs love that, like
Okay.
the pretty pink of the case, and it's nice and thin and compact, and,
Interesting.
you
Wow.
can do all these things
Your
with
Apple
wallpapers.
is pink. Mine's not.
you can do like all these wallpapers and
That's
widgets
incredible,
and
yeah.
all these like aesthetic things that
Aesthetic
people
things,
love
yeah.
that nowadays.
They love
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see.
Another insight. Like we really should be taking
I know,
notes
right?
here,
Oh my
you know?
gosh, this is like market research.
It's the customization, the personalization
Exactly.
that
Yes.
they can do.
Yeah.
That's right. And you obviously can't customize on Android.
No, you can't.
Obviously.
Oh, I forgot.
You can't do that stuff.
You're not
yeah.
in our
Oh, yeah,
tribe,
wait a minute. That was
Americus.
12 years ago. That when you were. Oh, yeah. So,
I totally
I know.
forgot you're not in our tribe.
I'm not in the tribe, unfortunately. I'm not in the Apple ecosystem, but I understand the
You're
loyalty.
missing out.
Well, I think it's interesting because they're very smart. Apple is very smart about connecting with younger consumers. They're in the schools.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this, Barbara, but Zora's third word.
Oh, no, you're kidding me.
I'm not kidding. Mommy, Poppy, iPad. Third word. So they're doing something right.
And I didn't even know that.
Yeah, 100%. I have the video. I do. And they're actually so your point's great, which is to say, let's connect early on. Let's have this familiarity. Android is a kind of a different thing, and I understand why people are so into the Apple ethos because it is this sort of aesthetic, beautifully
Yes.
designed, beautiful things, and they work really well together.
So,
Yes.
like, let's compare that to Nike, which I think is an interesting comparison. I'm curious to hear about your perspective on this because, as you correctly pointed out, the competitor to Apple is Android. I mean, what kind of competitor is that?
Oh,
right?
cut it out. All right,
Yeah,
listen.
that's so true, though.
Oh, cut it out. I know it's 2-on-1, but it's actually 2-on-2. I got Dion. in the
I'm
back.
Android.
I'm telling you,
I'm
baby.
Android. I got
Android,
you.
baby.
I got you.
Okay, I got my man backing me up there. Okay,
But
be careful,
the
y'all.
point is, to compete in this space, you've got to be a big, big company.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a direct-to-consumer brand come in that fast and compete against Android or Apple, right?
Fair, yep.
But Nike, on the other hand, even though it's a huge legacy brand and
Yep.
a very, very big brand, it has a lot
Yes.
of newcomer
Yes.
brands. Like Aloe is a new brand.
Aloe.
Ferrari is a
Yes.
new brand. Oh, you
Yeah.
do like that?
I do like Aloe.
You touched the nerve, Barbara.
And
right
that's
there.
a little bit scary for Nike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, why are you but you put Nike on your sheet?
Yes.
So why are you, as a Gen Z person, still loyal to Nike, even though you gladly gave up Mac and
Yep.
Bob,
Yeah.
all
Right,
these
right,
other
right.
legacy brands in beauty?
Well, I feel like Nike is just, there's so many staple pieces in that brand, like Air Forces, which I'm actually wearing right now. I just
Yes,
need those shoes to live.
Yes,
like, you know,
yes.
and the Jordans and the legacy lifts. And
All right,
like,
hold on. You just said something I think is super interesting. I need those shoes to live. All right, and so as an identity theorist, I pick up on this. You also are a sort of an aspiring sneakerhead, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she loves to collect them. You really love the Air Force Ones is at the top of the list right now.
yes, I love my Air Forces.
And are they super popular at school as well?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, interesting.
So you know what I'm hearing? You heard that, which is obviously fair, but you know what I heard was luxury. And,
Yes.
the reason why I heard luxury
Yeah,
is
yeah.
because what luxury does is compete on legacy that you can't reproduce. So like
yeah.
Jordan brand,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's one Jordan, right? I
Right.
mean, we've got other people that were going around.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that Louis Vuitton is doing. They've
interesting.
been a French brand for 200 years.
Yeah.
You know, French royalty. You can come in from these other countries with aesthetic, with design, but you don't have 200 years of
Fair.
royal
Yeah.
history, European royal history.
Gotcha.
And that's what you're telling me is different about Nike.
Yes.
Interesting.
Is that it's got the legacy.
Exactly. You know, me and my two other friends, we call ourselves the Air Force Trios because we all have the Air Forces.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got even within the school, there's a little tribe.
Yes.
And the shoes have social currency. Cachet.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this idea of collecting and
Yeah.
all that other. So if a legacy brand wants to appeal to the Gen Z and fend off all this new TikTok competition, they really have to be able to hone in on an authentic thing that does appeal.
Exactly.
So Michael Jordan appeals. Air
Right.
Forces
Yeah.
appeals.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure Quaker Oats is going to do that. Like, I don't know.
Right,
It has
right,
legacy.
right,
But
right.
it's an old man in a hat. Like, I'm not sure that that's going to have
Yeah,
the same kind
right.
of cachet or
Right.
legacy.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like,
Right.
is Quaker Oats
Yeah.
a Gen Z? No.
If this was video, you would see the look on my daughter's face right now. And it's, no, she's not a Quaker Oats fan.
Quaker Oats out, Fruit Loops in.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
Fruit Loops are in. How
Yes.
did that come in? Now, that's an old brand.
I love Fruit Loops.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a
Obviously for
good
the
product.
nutritional value.
Yes, high fructose corn syrup.
High fructose corn syrup. Yes. That's really good.
Let's see. What are some of these other? Oh, Snapchat. What about
Snapchat.
She
that?
lo-
one?
now she's been asking to get on Snapchat for a very long time.
What does it mean to get? Oh, you
to,
mean
like-
you don't have it on her phone?
No, you're not allowed yet to have Snapchat. Is that correct?
That is
Okay, I just want to make
correct.
sure I'm getting that correct. Because the social media stuff, it's a distraction in school. It's a lot of time taken up.
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that? No Gen Zer would say that.
Exactly. I feel like Snapchat is the thing to have right now because all of the drama happens on Snapchat.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
What's an example of the drama?
So in my grade,
Okay. No, this is going to get good. Now, be careful. Please protect the names of the innocent.
yes, I will. There's this one guy who told this other girl he was mad at her. They were like fighting on Snapchat, and he told her that she had a mustache.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Ooh,
That's
them's fighting words. Listen. Yeah. So this is literally the drama in the school.
Yes.
Is playing out on.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's interesting. Are there a lot of brands on Snapchat? I mean, what's Snapchat?
Snapchat's not one I follow as
Okay.
much as
Yeah.
like I've heard a lot about TikTok and
Yeah.
obviously
Oh yes, TikTok Shop.
and Meta and those others. But I
Yeah.
thought Snapchat was kind of
That's what I
not
thought
so,
too. That's what I thought
but
too.
it is kind of, what you're reminding me of is you're saying Snapchat is ephemeral, right? It goes away. And I know I was just talking to one of our doctoral students today, and some of our researchers in the marketing department are looking at photography that's posted on social media. And I'm curious, we might as well collect data for them while we're at it.
100%.
And they are suggesting that people who take photos that are ephemeral, that are not going to last.
Gotcha.
That there's something fundamentally different about the kind of photos you would take for a
Right.
story
100%.
than there
That
is
makes
for
sense.
one that you post in a news feed or that's going to stay
Yeah.
around.
That makes
How
sense.
would you articulate? So I totally think that hypothesis is right.
Right.
So what do you think is the difference? How does it affect what you take
Yeah,
pictures of and the
if it's going
quality
to
of
go
the
away
picture?
quickly, if it disappears,
Yeah.
what will change?
I feel like a lot of things will change because like when you post the picture, it's sometimes like once you click on it, you can't click back on it.
Right.
So I think it's gonna stay very relevant.
Okay.
I think
Snapchat is.
Yes,
That's
Snapchat.
interesting.
Or
yeah.
anything that's in stories, because Insta
Yeah.
has that. I mean,
Insta has the
even
stories.
Facebook
Yeah.
has stories,
Yes.
right?
Now I will remind you, Barbara, that when we did our course on the metaverse, we
Oh.
actually talked to one of the thought leaders at Snapchat. And it was really interesting when she was telling us that the whole idea of Snapchat is to try to get you to use your cell phone camera
Yeah.
in the same way you use the mouse. So it's like to really remember that? It was really
Wow.
interesting. It's like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to like create a whole new paradigm of interacting. And it's going to start with the camera
Yeah.
as the basis for
Yeah.
everything that happens socially.
And so so it's like talking
Yes.
rather
Yes.
than like maybe writing
Yes.
or making something
Yes.
more formal.
That's
so
the
there's
big idea.
something,
Yeah.
and do you see that in the pictures that are there, that it's more like talking, almost communicating
Yeah,
something?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the name of Snapchat, their ads are interesting, because they're saying social media kills, but get our social media.
yeah. They try to do sort of a
Yeah.
weird,
Exactly.
social impact
like,
thing. Yeah.
one like, no likes.
You know what? Was that the Super
The
Bowl
Super Bowl
the
ad,
Super
yeah.
Bowl ad, Barbara? Remember, it was like they would show the kid. And it was
Yeah.
it was basically a PSA about you're
Yeah.
on the phone too much. Please stop,
Yes.
just chasing
social
likes.
media kills.
Yes, and then buy Snapchat.
Yes, exactly.
You caught that. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's really
Well,
good.
that reminds me of, what was it, Temu? Because
Temu?
I watched the Super Bowl with you, the first
Yes.
half anyway.
Yes,
And even though it was the exact same ad, every time it went on, your eyes lit
Yeah,
up, right?
yeah,
and
yeah.
I personally did not think that was the greatest ad.
Yeah.
But like you're
Yeah.
like not paying attention,
Yeah.
not paying attention. All of a sudden the ad went on.
Light goes
and
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it about that
Yeah.
ad?
What's creating the Timo Pavlovian response with
Yeah.
you? You
That
said-
first Super Bowl ad, that $10 million was the best they've ever spent.
Uh-huh.
Because I remember last year's Super Bowl, I was in the room and people, we were watching the game and then all of a sudden this, $10 for a dress. Wow. 89 cents for school supplies. Wow.
Yeah.
And this guy right next to me, he's like, wow, I'm going to download that app. I was like, okay.
That's
Okay.
interesting. Right. Instant purchase funnel.
And
Right?
so when
Exactly,
you
yeah.
were looking at those ads when they were on, they did have those prices, and that's what attracted you.
Exactly, yeah.
It was the low price. It was really signaling really quickly.
It's interesting.
Again, the benefit, which was low price, and they did it in a way that you got instantly.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
and it was exciting.
Yeah,
right?
that's interesting.
And their slogan, shop like a billionaire.
Oh, shop like a right, because if you're buying 89-cent things, you're
You
gonna have
can buy a
billions of them.
garbage bag full, which
Yeah.
is what happens.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly right.
interesting, yeah.
But what's interesting is that it communicated it so quickly,
Yep.
and the benefit was so clear. That's
Interesting.
what you're saying, like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like that is, and we'll talk to our expert later on in the hour when we talk to him.
Yeah.
One of the things, and he reacts to this, is that supposedly Gen Z has no attention span, which I know is not true. I mean, it's
What do you?
or maybe it is. But what I
Yeah,
do hear
yeah.
you saying is if they don't catch you right away,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing's
then
gonna
there's
happen.
not. You
Nothing's gonna
might have
happen.
an attention span, but they've got to get your attention.
Interesting.
And what you said was really good about that ad was that even when you weren't paying attention, you saw it instantly.
Yeah.
You knew what the message was. And do you think most of TikToks like that? You can tell within like a half a second whether you're going to like that video, or do you give it some time?
I think you can tell very early on when you like something or you don't. When something's, going to catch on, or if it's not, or if it's just going to die down,
Interesting. And how fast? Sorry to interrupt, but how fast does that spread amongst your peers at school? Like, do you come to school the next day and you're talking about these
Yes.
things? Oh, is that
Yes.
right? So it's a lot of
Like,
word of mouth.
The next day, after the first Super Bowl ad that Temu released, it was like, Temu, guys, let's go buy a lot of this
Wow,
stuff.
that's
Oh my God, it's so
amazing.
cheap.
That's
That's the
unbelievable.
first time it came.
Yeah.
And then what they were doing the next is just reinforcing it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
reminding you.
Wow.
That was really a good use of their spend there.
Right. Wow, that's incredible.
Kind of amazing.
That's amazing.
So, one other thing here, what we're seeing in retail is a move away from buying products in the store and more going into stores that are experiential. Do you have any sense about that? Like, what are the experiences? Like, do you like
Oh, that's a good
Instagram
question.
stores and
Yeah.
those kinds of things?
Yeah, yeah.
Or something that's more experiential, whereas you can buy the product that you want online. So when you go into a physical store, you want something
good.
more from the store.
Good.
Yeah, I can TikTok shop. It's not really growing on me at the moment.
Oh wow.
Ah.
Okay.
Because I feel like why would I go to TikTok shop instead of Amazon?
Okay. Oh,
What's the leverage here?
you're doing the ROI here. I love it. I love it. That's good. Yeah.
So Amazon's just easier, and you know
Exactly.
everything's there. TikTok
Yeah.
is too new. What's the
Yeah.
point?
Right.
Exactly.
So that's
Interesting.
it, but that's an online store. So why would you ever set foot in a physical store?
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, is that the answer? You
but
don't
you
want
like
to go?
but it's dependent on the specific category. So like a shoe store, going in and walking in and
Yes.
seeing the whole, that kind of thing, like maybe Nike's flagship
Yeah,
store.
exactly.
That where, like, to Barbara's point, it is an actual experience and not just, trying to understand about the
Yeah.
product. You like that though,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So what are the physical stores you go into rather than shopping online or being online?
Probably Sephora and Nike.
Those are-
those
You
are the
said
top
you really
two.
love Sephora. Why? What's the big deal about Sephora? There's got to be a million competitors to the Sephora.
Sephora,
She has one
Ulta.
on here, Ulta. Yeah.
Okay, so they're
Yeah.
in there. But what is it about Sephora?
It has everything in there. You name it, it's in there. Like
Okay.
it's just so big and like marvelous. You see everything. You want it. You see it. You want it. Like you just turn a corner. Ooh, that's so cool. Let me buy it.
Yeah.
But is it
Interesting.
also important to be able to touch and feel that product and
Yes.
see it?
For me, yes.
So it's the touch and feel, it's the experience, any product that you need to kind of get into in some
Exactly,
way.
yeah.
Like a shoe is what Americus is suggesting also you might want to try on.
Interesting.
Even though we know people can buy shoes online now, there is
100%.
still something about
Yeah.
trying it on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And what about Lulu? Would you buy Lulu online or in the
Yes,
store?
I would.
Yeah, you're
You'd
a
buy
big
it on-
Lulu fan. Yeah,
Yes,
right?
I
But
am.
you would buy that online rather
Yeah.
than in a store.
I get all my things online. I don't really go into the store and try things.
Yeah. So to your point, Barbara, she goes to the store for the experience.
Yeah.
Period. And
And
is
otherwise, you're going to buy it online.
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
I remember one of the first times I walked into Lululemon, I see these like 6-year-old girls with like defined jackets and, the Lululemon leggings and the socks and the bags and everything. It's like, why are people so interested in this? When I was like just like a little bit younger, I was like, why are people so interested? But I'm starting to catch on now. Like,
So what's cool about Lulu?
Yeah.
it's popular.
Yeah. Lulu's a very interesting brand to be popular. It's interesting that she's saying
Yeah.
that because Lulu still appeals to the moms.
Yeah. Oh.
And typically when you get
Yeah.
a brand that the moms like,
Oh, that's
it's
interesting.
Yeah,
poison.
like Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for example.
It's just like it's really hard
old
to
people are on
compete.
Facebook,
It's really
yeah.
hard to compete with these brands like Lululemon, like Chow Gym, like they're rising.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're ever gonna beat
Well,
Lululemon.
we'll see. About
So
that.
like
Yeah,
that's what I'm asking you. Typically, not my father's Oldsmobile, not my mother's jeans.
Yeah.
You don't want to wear the clothes
Yeah.
that
Your
moms
parents.
wear.
Yeah.
Except for
But-
Lululemon.
Except
Except
for
for
Lululemon.
Lululemon. That
did
was my
something.
point. Why is that?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think it's just because it's popular on, TikTok again. Coming back in these conversations.
Yeah.
It's mainly just the popularity. The second one celebrity has it, everyone wants it.
Interesting.
And what about Instagram? You're not a big Insta.
Not a big Instagram fan. It's just not really for me.
Yeah.
And
You know?
why is that?
I guess it's just more for 20-year-olds posting.
Oh,
about their
God,
lives.
those
Oh,
old people
yeah.
that are just so archaic and completely out of date. Those 20-year-olds. Oh, my God. What are they thinking? They're so passe.
See, that's
Right.
typical. Anything that's trendy, fashion, anything like that, soon as the old people like it, the young
Exactly.
people need something new. That is why Lulu is a
Yeah.
really interesting
That's an
For a
brand.
long
case
time,
example.
for a long
Yeah.
time, everyone was like, "When is Facebook gonna stop being so cool?" The second my grandmother joined,
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's exactly. And what
That's
about
funny.
like Gen Z or Gen Alpha even vocabulary? Is there something like to
Oh,
the code?
Oh, yeah. Run it down. Run down y'all's lingo.
there's a lot of lingo,
Okay.
like sus
Yeah.
and slay, and
Slay.
like there's so many like different. Only like Gen Zs and like Gen Alphas, like no, because I feel like there's definitely a difference between Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha are known as the quote iPad kids end quote. They're my iPad, I need it to survive instead of having like a phone.
Oh, wait. What? Why do they need an iPad versus an iPhone?
Like Roblox and all these things.
Gaming.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
a
that-
lot of the kids are into gaming.
So
right?
the younger kids are more.
Yeah, the younger kids now are more into like Roblox and Minecraft than
And do you
13-year-olds.
want to see your brands in those on those platforms? Because that's where they're going.
Yeah, I think so.
And you believe in digital goods and like.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know, right? Seriously. It's like it's a fait accompli. It's just like this is what we accept now. This is the reality. It's sort of like, and I've never been able to wrap my head around digital products. But for the younger kids, it's like,
But here
yeah,
I'll give
here
you
it
an
is.
example. So I'm not obviously in that generation, but I have totally accepted digital newspaper, digital books,
That's fair.
things like
That's
that,
fair.
and it's
That's
not
fair.
really that different.
That's fair.
If the
That's fair.
utility I get from the item is basically the same,
Mm-hmm.
if it's like she said, aesthetics, decoration,
Exactly. Why
of
not
some
use the more
sort,
accessible one?
It's just cleaner and easier online.
That's interesting.
like-
I'm not sold yet, Barbara, but you have pushed me
Right?
theoretically
Because
as a
I bet-
concept.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hold
Yeah.
the newspaper anymore. And that
that's
took
fair.
me a while, but like I still
Interesting.
had print for a while because I
Yeah.
just like the smell of it with my coffee.
Totally,
But
totally.
I'm totally okay with it digitally
Interesting,
now. So it's
interesting.
not that different. A
Interesting.
change.
So would you buy a digital purse?
Well, I
Oh.
mean,
For your avatar?
It depends what you're using it for.
Okay.
You
For
know,
the
if you're-
metaverse.
Metaverse.
Yeah, if you're using it for your look, then maybe you would.
Interesting.
But if you're not,
Yeah.
then if you need it for something useful, then it's got to be a hard thing. All
Interesting.
right. Well, Zora, thank you very much
Yeah.
for this
Oh, thank
one-on-one
you.
interview.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go into take a little break right now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Barbara Kahn, along with Americus Reed and
Zora
Reed.
Fabiana Reed,
Thank
ladies
you for
and
having
gentlemen.
me, guys.
Thanks for joining the program.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
This is Marketing Matters, and we're going to take a break now.
You're listening to Marketing Matters on Business Radio.
Come here, let me look at you.
Spotlight. I want to keep digging.
Welcome back to Marketing Matters here on Business Radio, Sirius XM 132. I'm Barbara Kahn, the Patty and J.H. Baker Professor of Marketing, and I'm joined by my co-host, Americus Reed, the Whitney M. Young Jr. Professor of Marketing and Brand Identity Theorist. And we also have a third co-host
Yes.
today, which we are super excited about, Zora Reed, who happens to be related to Americus, and therefore is way more sophisticated about marketing than her young years would
Yes.
indicate.
Yes.
And in this spotlight segment, we have a special guest, Connor Blakely, who's the founder of the first ever Generation Z marketing agency, Youth Logic. And he started this company when he was 15 years old, and then he
Excellent.
sold it when he was 19.
Yep.
But it's been announced that he has reacquired the agency. So I'd like to hear about that
Yeah,
whole journey.
totally.
Welcome to the show, Connor.
Hi,
So
Connor.
tell us a little bit about founding the company, selling the company, reacquiring the company, and then we'll get into what the company's about, which is really understanding the Gen Z consumer.
Totally. I appreciate y'all having me on. And Youth Logic, it's been an interesting journey. I'm happy to get into it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how this started, because 15, Connor. So, dude, you've got credibility, man. So tell us about everything that started this, and how it formed, and like all of those initial aspects of the early days.
Totally. So it didn't totally start with Youth Logic. When I was super, super young, and I was going and getting autographs and reselling them and posting things on eBay, going to garage sales and just flipping stuff from a very young age, I wanted to try to find a way to do something that I knew something about. So at the time, it was social media. Me and all my friends were on it. I felt like I had kind of a good understanding. So the way that I got started was I would ride my bicycle in Cleveland, Ohio, to local State Farm agents or insurance agents' offices, whoever would take a meeting with me.
Wow.
And I'd pitch them on, hey, this is when, businesses were just getting onto these platforms, and people were just starting to market their small businesses on them. And I said, hey, I'll do it for you for free, just for a case study. And then I ended up doing that, all the way from local restaurants, insurance agents, local businesses in Cleveland, all the way to, some pretty prominent brands and personal brands, just helping them craft their social media presence. The way that Youth Logic came about is I'd been, I was making like a few $100 a month per client, was killing it. And I wanted to, have a larger impact with some of these big organizations that I'd go into the store and I'd see. So I emailed PepsiCo. They get on a call with me and they said, they found out my age. I had no clue what I was doing. So I was pitching like someone at PepsiCo, like, hire me in high school to run your entire social media. Like, we know what we're doing. And
That's fantastic.
And they, they sent me an internship application after the call and said that I was too young. And I was so desperate to try to figure out a way to, quote unquote, like level up and have a greater impact. So it kind of hit me, and oftentimes you find this in life. The greatest deterrent is often also the thing that can make stuff magical. So I realized that my age, I could kind of use as leverage and a strength, because there was no one my age at the time providing value to brands, through a lens of my generation, and also, understanding influencer marketing, how to meaningfully create good content. So that was the impetus for the start for Youth Logic, was I'm going to position myself as, an authority on Gen Z in my own generation, and act as a liaison for some of these older generations and brands to understand youth culture.
Nice.
But, I mean, that's a little, because one of the points that I read that comes out of your research is that Gen Z is pretty heterogeneous. There's a lot of different opinions there. So and that's one of your own conclusions. So how could it be that you're the voice of the generation when you're only one voice?
No, and I totally agree, by the way. I just think that it takes someone with the lens of their own generation to help navigating the different subcultures. Gen Z is so, diverse in terms of our subcultures, different things that we're into. A lot of people say, who is Gen Z? And then they'll rattle off, the years of which we were born, or they'll go into some research studies. But at the end of the day, I just believe that we're a generation that was blessed to get access to a constant stream of different information via technology. I know YouTube was such an integral part in how I was raised and how I learned. So I think that it broadened our horizons in a meaningful way to be able to explore these different interests and then try to create different careers perspectives, opinions on it, and then share them on social media to either garner an audience for ourselves or to just engage with someone that we're following and looking at. So it's what I love about our generation. It's also, it's a tough thing sometimes because I don't totally agree with a lot of the things that show up in polls or that's covered on the news about Gen Z. It's been rather pessimistic lately. So I really try to be an advocate whenever I can and, provide maybe a different perspective or clarity.
So let's just talk about the business decision and then let's get into the substance. So then you sold it and then you bought it back or you came back. So like what happened there?
Yeah. What was that journey?
Totally. So when I was 19 and I sold the business, it was just a consultancy, right? I was doing agency stuff and I had agency partners, but I didn't know how to run an agency like proper. And so I thought that it was a great decision for me to step on, try to learn the agency business and then go from there. I'd really done everything that I wanted to do at that time. I'd consulted for all of the top companies in the world. We'd grown brands inside of these companies, had massively successful launches. I got to grow my Rolodex of talent just from having the experience of YouthLogic. I was kind of looking for an out, on to the next thing. Which I've found and I can get into in a second, but I just viewed it as a step, for me to understand business more. And that's exactly what I got out of it. I realized at that time that the future of brand creation and, we were working with very large consumer facing companies. I think that we're in the era now of all of them being disrupted. And all of these kind of stagnant dinosaur brands who are terrible at marketing, I think they're all going to get clobbered over the next 2 to 3 years.
That's a pretty big indictment.
Yeah.
No, and it's why I stepped away from YouthLogic for a time because I had to understand business. I had to understand how to build a huge business. I really believe in, our ability to spin up our own brands and create our own brands. But, in entrepreneurship, being a genius creative and visionary is not enough. You got to understand business. So I'm not saying I'm an expert now, but I think over that period of time, it gave me a good enough handle. And you'll say, hey, why did you make the decision to go and do YouthLogic again? The reason why is the brand. I love the brand. I love the mission. Our main focus is it's now part of my holding company called the Dropout Companies, which is a kind of a next gen consumer holdco where we will launch brands and categories that are recession proof, where there's a lot of growth, where there's a very large incumbent to go after. So we're launching our own better for you peanut butter and jelly sandwich called Jams. And then we're launching a frozen pizza with a very iconic Gen Z talent we'll be able to share shortly. Wow. So, we're more careful about the clients we take on at YouthLogic now because the main function of the business is to act as the marketing arm for all of the brands that we spin up ourselves using our own theses and different practices. A lot of these agencies kind of say, we're the best at what we do. We understand Gen Z. And then they don't have real meaningful equity or ownership in any brands themselves, doing it themselves. So I had to learn business, but we're back and, we're taking some select clients. But the main focus is on the brands in our own portfolio that we can grow.
That's a really interesting approach. I do respect that.
Yeah.
So can you give us some insights you did get about Gen Z that you do think hold from your type of research? And I understand like you did some qualitative research and then probably you tried to validate those initial hypotheses or results and probably come up with some things that you feel like you can say with some authority.
Correct. Yeah, give us the Gen Z playbook. What are the best practices? What are the gold standards, Connor? Take us through this. Give us the 101 on this.
Yeah, and it's why, our business model at YouthLogic is not just like a marketing agency. It's like paired as a marketing consultancy because what Gen Z really craves out of these brands and companies is to meet them where they're at and be consistent. And when you have so many different messages and brands across different portfolios and businesses, they just want to see consistency and they want to see realness, right? I think, if we're talking examples, what Logan Paul has been able to accomplish with Prime, taking out Gatorade, everywhere I walk.
Example.
This speaks to market research, you mentioned that a lot of our stuff was qualitative. It's because I think data tells the story of the past. And I think a lot of these polls and a lot of this research that comes out about Gen Z is wrong, and it's not necessarily collected effectively to inform either business decisions or what the heck is going on in culture and that's going to work over the next kind of given year, 6-month time horizon. As an example, I use the 6-month time horizon. It's honestly like twice or 2 or 3 times a quarter. The way that Prime actually implements this is they do different themed drops of different specific flavors and products on a, either monthly or a few times a quarter basis, combined with their collaborations with real talent, which are the co-founders of the business. Gen Z especially, they understand that people aren't perfect. We see it online every day,
Right.
But we at least want consistency, and we want these brands to meet us where we're at.
What do you think about a brand like Liquid Death?
Yeah, I just saw this today, Connor. We just saw another $86 million, I think, introduced into the kitty in terms of raising funds, and now valued at over $1 billion. Valuation for Liquid Death. And by the way, sorry to interrupt, Connor, because this is nuts. We're talking about the thing that you can get outside in the fountain for free. Okay? It's just shocking. What are your thoughts, Connor?
I mean, my thoughts is, I've got some dear friends of mine who put money into this latest round, and I wish they would have called me because I would have advised against it.
Wait a minute. Unpack this. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally would have advised against it. I don't think when inflationary or recessionary environments come about, I don't think that people are willing to overspend for glorified, water, like you mentioned, in a can. I understand, they do okay marketing, like they're clever and have a cool community. I just think it's a completely commoditized product, and people aren't going to be willing to spend their money, especially Gen Z, in that way.
That's interesting.
Over the next few years.
So as long as we're in this category, let me ask you about one more, and then ask you about the influence of TikTok, which our co-host Zora really thinks is the way to market a brand.
Yep.
What do you think about Poppy? Have you heard of Poppy?
Poppy is an incredible business and an incredible category, but the difference between Poppy and Liquid Death is they're actually delivering value and a better alternative from a product perspective. I only drank Poppy or Olipop, right? I kind of shifted off of Pop. I think it's probably a perfect case study of a Gen Z kind of focused brand and how they operate on socials. Even the design of the actual product lends itself to a constant stream of very organic user-generated content. So you mentioned TikTok as a way to grow a brand. Poppy is textbook exactly how to do so, but it's about a holistic strategy. So the reason they're not successful, or the reason they are successful on TikTok, isn't just because of them being on the platform and sending product to talent. It's inherent all the way into the design and the social engineering of the product and the launch and the talent that they associate themselves with. So I love that product and that company.
Interesting. Well, our co-host Zora, you are aware of Pop and Ali. Talk a little bit about, are these for some of your favorite brands as well?
Yeah, I love Olipop and Poppy.
Why?
They're so good. It's like a better alternative soda. Like they're saying you should drink this instead of drinking Coke because it's better for you.
Oh, and why does that appeal to you? Why does like a health argument? Is that something that the Gen Zers are they focused on?
Well, they're not going to get old because they're cleaning up their skin, so they might as well be healthy.
Right. That's true. I mean, is this something that you see in your peer groups as well?
Yeah.
Is this
There's this one girl in my friend group. She drinks an Olipop every day with her lunch.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Some loyalty there. Interesting.
Okay, so what do you think about it? How do you market differently on TikTok? Like, for example, we did have the CMO of Liquid Death come on our show, and he was really talking about the idea of co-creation on TikTok, and that's why I was asking Zora earlier.
Yeah.
Like, is it like organic? Is it by the customers, the video? Is it company-related video? Or how do you market differently on TikTok to appeal to the Gen Z consumer? And what I hear is, don't be just selling water. Be selling something that really has value. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Start with the basics.
Right.
But then there's going to be a different way to market on TikTok, right?
Totally. And just to touch on the point that was previously made about, clean eating, health trends, holistic, wellness, that's the word I continuously use is holistic wellness. I think eating clean and all natural ingredients for Gen Z, especially, and Gen Alpha is going to be a complete non-negotiable.
Oh, wow.
So in our, in our Better For You Uncrustables, it's all natural, clean ingredients. And I think that's going to have to be a mandate for brands that want to engage and reach with Gen Z. But I think TikTok, the TikTok playbook, I think there's two different ones. The first one is you can create culture yourself, and you can have specific creative and align with talent, and activate that way. And then the second way is just giving creators and your audience the ability and the keys to kind of create it themselves. And what is a community if the people aren't in it, are actively participating in it? And they've done some funny stuff with like the Armless Palmer thing, even though I'm never picking up a Liquid Death iced tea instead of an Arnold Palmer. Like they do a fun play on some of this stuff.
Yeah, Liquid Death.
And it really works. And it really works.
Yeah.
So what does somebody like you or Zora think about some old-time thing like the Academy Awards and the Oscars? Did you guys watch that? Do you care about those big spectacles?
Yeah. What are the Gen Zers in terms of entertainment, Connor? What are their thoughts?
I think that what we're going through right now, as a society and especially in youth culture, is figuring out what's really up and seeing through the facade. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here, so I'm going to play it safe. But a whole lot of BS,
dude, you represent the young kids. Come on, man, keep it G-rated here. Come on, even though it is satellite radio, but we understand you.
Hey, if they don't hear it from me, they're going to get it from TikTok. Right? But
touche.
So no, I totally think that that a platform like TikTok too, it's about I kind of forget the question, but
no, we're talking about
TikTok
the Oscars or something real.
the Oscars, the Oscars.
Entertainment for the Gen Zers, yes.
Yep. So TikTok and these democratized ways that we're getting information and how these things spread, it kind of you figure out what's up. I don't know too many Gen Z that actually watched, but rather maybe watched clips or the interviews on social media or the reactions to kind of who wore what or these different subcultures of it.
Yeah.
I don't find it especially meaningful, considering that all of these artists and different actors have been kind of railing against these institutions for our entire childhood and the better part of our lives. And then they just expect us to not hear that and then tune in and believe everything. So I don't know. I think the jig is up on some of these things.
Interesting. Here's something that's interesting, Barbara, and also to comment on Connor and you as well, Zora. The idea that, there are these long format entertainment pieces that come out. And the way that I'm guessing that one hypothesis might be the way that the young kids get exposed to this is that there'll be a long piece of content and there'll be some parts of it that for whatever reason resonate. Say, for example, like the Katie Britt response to the State of the Union address. And then that'll become a meme. And so maybe the meme is like the gateway into the Gen Z world, where the meme shows up and
like
then you see the
10.
and you see like the 5-second thing, and then maybe you go look for the more extended thing. So is that something that you see, Connor, where it's like the shorter kinds of formats, and it's curated through some lens of trying to understand something that maybe humorously happened, or how does this work?
Yep. So I'm totally aligned and agree. And I think that was an excellent explanation of exactly how short form content is leading people towards consuming longer form content. When I say the jig is up, I mean, I think it's kind of at the point where when you're consuming podcasts or even watching large scale entertainment productions, that now you understand that things are not fraudulently, but like they're being done in a way to just produce that kind of clip. So I actually think that over the next year, 2, 3, what you're going to see more of is a complete shift away from short form, easily digestible content and into meaningful and
that's a big
prediction. Yeah.
I think YouTube is going to have the biggest comeback in terms of not their short term easily digestible 6 to 8 second content, or even their minute-long content. I think 8 to 10 minute videos are going to make a huge comeback.
It's coming back. Yeah, that's interesting.
So let me ask you about the Swifties. What do you think about that as a cultural phenomenon? Or you have any thoughts about the power that they hold? Conspiracy theories? Apparently, they're going to like change the election. And
the Swifties are going to change. Okay.
They made the
one.
Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
Goodness.
I mean, but as a phenomenon, as a cultural force, what do you think about all of that?
Yeah, I think Taylor Swift is one of the greatest country music icons of Gen Z. I'm just a personal country music fan, and any woman that's smart enough to lock up a guy from Cleveland, Ohio, you gotta give kudos to. So Taylor Swift is a Gen Z icon. She's a powerful force. Travis Kelce, obviously a huge fan from Cleveland, great guy, does a lot for the community and different folks here over a long period of time, by the way. Not just says it, but really does it. She's just an icon. Like, I don't want to say anything to upset the Swifties because she has a freaking army, but I will say that I'm not sure that she that she can have an impact on the election like that. I really don't.
I'm pretty sure
I think just because someone is a good singer and a good songwriter, it doesn't necessarily mean that we'll respect their opinions or intellect when it comes to different things that are going on in the world.
Yeah,
so
I
don't know. I hope that she comes out and voices her opinion, because that's what's amazing about America is all of these different perspectives and views. So she can share whatever she'd like with her audience. I'm happy that it's encouraging more debate and conversation around these important issues that like Gen Z, and this might sound a little bit ageist, but like Gen Z is kind of looking at all of these older people like, you guys mess it up this bad? Like, is our system, this is really what's going on? Like, this is like, how did we get here? And just, while I'm on that topic, I think we're going to see huge, a huge meaningful shift to a different way of life, to a completely different way of life over the next 8 to 10 years, especially just because Gen Z is like, what the heck is going on?
Well,
I think it's going to
Connor,
inspire some real change.
I gotta say, that's a pretty bold prediction to end our show on. Thank you so much for joining us today. And so where can our listeners go to follow you and the work you're doing?
Yeah, they can follow me on Instagram at Real Blakely, or follow my YouTube channel at Blakely. So those are the two best places, and I appreciate y'all having me on.
Thanks a lot for being here and being the voice of your generation.
That's cool.
And
that's
Zora,
awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us here in the studio. What'd you think of our show?
I think it's really great. I think you guys are doing some real good.
Thank you. Wow, you weren't paid to say that at all, were you? That's good. Your allowance just went up because you give kudos to the show. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. That's all we have time for today. I'd like to thank our producers, Deion Simpkins and Dana Cash. We're here every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We replay our show several times throughout the week.
Nice.
You can follow us at Knowledge at Wharton to see our podcast, or you can follow Business Radio at SXM Business for information about all our programming.
Now, Barbara, please spell that out. What is the What's the handle for at SXM? What is? I want to make sure I get this down.
SXM Business.
Gotcha. SXMBUSINESS. That's our Twitter handle?
Yeah, well, that's Sirius XM.
Okay, gotcha. I know. This is okay. It's like amateur hour up here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just totally messing this thing up here. So, what are the other areas where they can find us?
Knowledge at Wharton is also where we list all our podcasts that we've done. So you can go back and see everything that we've done over the last year or 2 years, which is totally worth your time.
Yeah, totally. Very cool. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening today, and we'll be back next week. Till then, this has been Marketing Matters. I'm Barbara Kahn here with America's 3 Business Radio, Sirius XM 132.